Gentlemen, what is going on? Today we have the Kimber K6S on the channel, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I am not a revolver guy. Prior to this, I had actually probably never shot a revolver in my life, but I'd like to look at it through the lens of concealed carry, everyday carry, to see how it stacks up against more like modern options. As for me, I'm more accustomed to striker fire guns, 1911s, and single action only guns. Red dots, sometimes lights, usually having at least the option to put one on, as well as higher capacity than 6. Not even a +1, it's just 6. After spending a little bit of time, really cute little Kimber K6XS, I'm starting to realize that revolvers do have a place. Just a disclaimer and a heads up, this absolutely will not be a revolvers are better than striker fire guns video, but rather this is gonna be a realistic conversation, kind of analyzing, you know, these days retro things are coming back. Kids who grew up with no recollection, no memory, no lived experience of things that happened in the 90s. I was born in 2000, but there's this nostalgia core. So what's old is new, and today we're gonna look at where a lightweight snub nose makes sense, where it doesn't, and kind of who the Kimber K6XS is actually really for. So just a quick overview, this is Kimber's K6XS. It's chambered in 38 Special Plus P, has a 2-inch barrel, little baby guy, and can take 6 rounds, which some revolvers can only take 5. So that, I would say, is a win. Unloaded, it weighs 15.9 ounces, so this falls squarely in the concealed carry kind of camp. It is an all metal gun. The rubberized grip is wrapped around metal, so you're saving a lot of weight, especially given the fact that this isn't a Tupperware kind of gun. This isn't a plastic gun. To save that weight, the frame is aluminum alloy. The barrel as well as cylinder are stainless steel. And then the grips are rubberized from hose. The rear sight is fixed and milled directly into the frame. And then the front sight is, I believe it's just a painted on high vis orange, but it is actually a very reasonably priced, kind of mid-tier, roughly, I would have to say, about 679 social credit points. So it's not a cheap option. There are lots of cheap revolvers out there. Like, you head to any store and you can find some pretty bottom of the barrel, dirt cheap stuff, but it's definitely not demanding the premium kind of custom crazy high-end prices either. So when it comes to the shooting experience, obviously I've never shot a revolver before, so this thing, as to be expected, had a very different experience overall. Pretty much the entire process was kind of completely foreign and different. With a striker gun, you just load up the mag super quick with your speed loader. If you're a girl, you slap that in, rack the slide, you're good to go. With this one, it feels a lot more old school, more intentional with how you kind of load up the gun. You know, putting the 6 rounds in, or maybe 1 if you're a little gutsy and you're playing Russian roulette. It feels mechanical. I like the old school kind of feeling to it, and it's kind of refreshing. I can definitely see the appeal. The one thing that really threw me off when I was shooting it and took me a while to adjust, which I don't think I adjusted because this is really like a first shots kind of look at the gun. I don't have all that much trigger time behind it, but the trigger time, and talking about the trigger, oh, that's a heavy trigger. It's a very heavy trigger. Man, if I had to guess, I would say, I don't know, an 8-pound trigger pull? I wanna look this up actually. So, okay, this being a double action only gun, trigger pull comes in at an average between 9.5 and 12 pounds, which, holy smokes, you can tell. If you smash the trigger, like, the sights are being so disturbed right now. The only way to shoot it without disturbing the sights, at least for me, I mean, maybe you revolver guys already have this down to a science, it's to slow down the entire process, to really get all that take up as much as you can, and then be intentional with the pull, making sure that you're pulling with that proper part of your finger, because with a heavy trigger pull, you really want to like bring your finger all the way through and then just frickin' white knuckle it and grip that thing to the rear. But then you're gonna be pulling your shots every time. So this is something I need to train with and like learn to be better at. So it's exposing weaknesses for me, and I think that's a good thing. Part of the reason why the trigger pull is so freaking heavy is there's a lot of things happening as you're pulling the trigger. Rotating the cylinder, so you're spinning that thing around, you're cocking back the internal hammer, which I forgot to mention in the overview. We'll talk about why that's kind of a good thing in the concealed carry segment of this video. And after both of those things happen, then you're firing the gun. So the upside is that your trigger pull is extraordinarily intentional. That's part of the mindset behind, I can't remember if it was New York City or LA, they had the duty or the issued handguns for police officers be like 12-pound trigger pulls. And that is the reason why, is that like when you pull that pistol, your adrenaline is dumped. You have to then really think about, oh my God, do I want to pull this trigger? So have you guys ever had dreams where you have had to pull out your handgun and use it in a self-defense scenario? Completely justifiable by law, of course. But you got the pistol presented, you're ready to pull, and that trigger, man, you can't get that trigger to break. It's the heaviest trigger that you've ever pulled in your entire life. And then the guy is coming closer, the monster, whatever you're trying to shoot, you're just about to die. Maybe a round goes off, and then that wasn't enough. It didn't stop the assailant, and you're dead. This is how that feels to me. It feels like trying to shoot in your dreams. Maybe I'm psychotic and you guys don't actually have weird dreams like that, but that's just kind of what comes to mind for me. But that trade-off is it feels very safe and very intentional, so that's really nice. Downside is that if your trigger control, like me, is sloppy, it's gonna be exposed immediately. Yeah, immediately. And then once you've hit that 7th round, because it doesn't lock back, so if you're not counting while you're shooting, you'll be at the range going like, oh shit, oh man, I'm out. But you're dipping, you've exposed yourself. One upside of this gun is the caliber itself, what it's chambered in. The 38 Special is a very soft recoiling cartridge. I was pleasantly surprised. I was kind of expecting it to be a wrist snapper, honestly, but no, not really at all. Even shooting one-handed is not bad at all. This is definitely not a gun where the follow-up shots are fast. I think part of that is the way that you kind of have to grip the gun. It doesn't feel as filled out as a striker gun does, or as a traditional semi-auto gun does. So the grip feels a little bit like wrong. I think part of that is the curvature and the grip angle of the gun, just a little bit weird, just a little bit skinny. So when you wrap that support hand, like holding it one-handed feels good and comfortable and ergonomic. But then once you bring that second hand in, it feels like you're cupping a little, like, I don't know, cupping a nutsack or something. It feels like you're kind of shooting like that because of the position that the hand is put in. It's just really hard to describe. Maybe I could do the whole like pew view, GBRS, bring the middle finger up and then wrap. Man, maybe that would actually be a lot better. But then my wrist is really at a bizarre angle, kind of a painful angle, so I'm not sure if that's actually the answer.
Not sure where to put my thumb on this bad boy.
Put it like right by the chamber.
Yeah, put it on the barrel.
If you do choose to use Hodder plus P rounds as your defense ammo, or even, God forbid, your training ammo, if you are filthy, blindingly rich, you're gonna be feeling that, especially with this 15.9 ounce gun. That recoil will be sent right back into you. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone through the shooting experience, gone through the gun a little bit, let us talk about the carrying experience. So why the K6XS? It's nice and small, it's nice and lightweight for a revolver. Honestly, it's kind of like half the weight of one of the guns that I really tried to force EDC to work, which is the Springfield Prodigy. That gun weighs like 32 ounces. This being 16 ounces, that's exactly like half the weight unloaded. So it's not a heavy gun by any means, but the nice kind of rounded part, like this is the part that you have to worry about concealment wise from this up. It's nice and rounded, it's nice and curved and ergonomic and soft, so there's not gonna be really any hard edges when you're concealing. I can kind of show you guys how it prints on me. This is obviously a very baggy shirt, and I do not have a holster for it, but yeah, I mean, it conceals very, very well. If this shirt was of a tighter kind of fitment, this is the belt buckle. That's what you're seeing. You're not really seeing it kind of outlined. I guess there it is right there. But you know, you're not really seeing it outlined on the body. Carry pros are definitely the simplicity, kind of like with cars. The simpler the design, the fewer things that can go wrong, and the easier it is to just have the dang thing work when you want it to work. The gun is very easy to determine what condition it's in. And I think for those who are more minimalist minded with their EDC, with their concealed carry, who don't want to carry a spare mag, a light, an optic, you don't want thumb safeties to futz with and worry about, I think this is a very appealing option, absolutely. I think for maybe slightly bigger guys than myself too, a very serious contender for pocket carry, especially with that hammerless or the internal hammer design. That's not gonna get snagged on anything when you're trying to pull it out and put it to use. Talking about that simplicity piece, if you're buying a snub nose and you're deciding to carry a snub nose because you think it means that you're not gonna have to train with it, you're gonna have to think twice about that one, buddy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
You're using a firearm. It'll take a bad guy's life just as easily as it'll take a good guy's life. So make sure that you're training with whatever tool that you decide to leave the house with. I think that's hugely important. And maybe that's why the revolver gets a bad rap, has that stereotype of the kind of guy who doesn't really train at all, or is a little bit lazy and complacent, never dry fired in their life, because I think it lends itself to being a simpler gun, an older gun. I think it lends itself to simpler and older people. I don't know if I can say that. Now that we're kind of into the video, I'd like to share some disclosures. Kimber sent this gun out to me free of charge. There's no money that changed hands. They're not expecting me to say anything good or bad about this gun, so I'm just giving you kind of what happened, what I honestly think. Also, go ahead and check out DK Mags. They're a gun store. I'm a Minnesota guy, so they're a Minnesota store. But if you're not, you can go online. They have guns, ammo, which my code doesn't qualify for, holsters, parts, NFA items, really anything you can want as a gun guy. Use code TKM5 to save 5% off your order. Ship straight to your door or your FFL. And if you're in person, go ahead and tell them that I sent you, and they'll give you that nice discount off basically everything in the store. If you do need ammo, go to Buffalo Creek Ammunition. Use code TKM5 for 5% off their store. Kind of everything shipped straight to your door. If you want some really nice bags, or I guess like some hunting stuff, go to Everall Stock. Use code TKM10 for 10% off. These links can be found in the description down below. It's kind of like a little landing page that I'll take you to. And yeah, really appreciate you guys supporting the channel using those codes. So yeah, ultimately I think this gun is really the manual transmission, the old mechanical watch of the gun world. I mean, the design has been around since forever. It predates the 1911. So clearly it's not the most modern tool, but it absolutely does have a certain kind of charm about it. But its purpose is different, and it inspires kind of a very specific kind of confidence when you're shooting it and carrying it. I think at this point in the video, if you're still watching, I'm really preaching to the choir. I think if you're here, like, you already know that you're a revolver guy. You already know that you want to carry a snub nose. Maybe you've already bought the dang gun and you're just trying to reinforce your purchase. So the question ultimately is a revolver, especially a snub nose one, a lightweight one, the Kimber K6XS, is it a better option than something like a Bodyguard 2.0 or a Kimber CDS9 or a Glock 43X? The real question is, does this serve your context? Does this serve your everyday life? Does it kind of match up with your training level? And can it do what you require of a carry gun? One point I forgot to mention is contact shots. Slide will not be pushed backwards and then you won't be able to cycle the gun. You can be right up in someone's face. You can have this stuffed inside someone's mouth and it's just gonna go off. That's how simple this design is, which is absolutely a pro. But I mean, how often are you gonna be finding yourself doing a contact shot? So continuing down that rabbit hole, talking about who this gun really is for, I think a few people. One, the person who already owns revolvers, already is into them, maybe grew up shooting them. They just want a lightweight, 6-shot modern carry option. Check. Two, someone who wants a very simple, low maintenance, deep carry or backup gun. And three, someone who values comfort, concealability, ease of use over capacity and modernity. Maternity? I think it requires someone who's willing and able to train and navigate around the trigger behavior. You just really have to get used to that if you ask me. But I will absolutely say I do not think this is the best carry gun for first-time shooters. This isn't a best first-time gun. The skill cap is a little bit higher. Like you're gonna be in ranked matches before you pick this thing up and use as your EDC gun. Not because it's bad, but just because simply snub-nose revolvers are a little bit more challenging to shoot than most people would think, which is typically fine because most self-defense scenarios happen within a very, very short distance, you and the adversary. I mean, as always, with any gun that you're using, make sure you line up a good sight picture before you're blasting away and be accountable for every round that you send downrange. For the new shooters, a compact 9mm striker fired gun is 9 times out of 10 what I would recommend. But absolutely for someone who understands the trade-offs deeply, the K6XS is a very, very compelling gun. And I think it is something that you guys shouldn't ignore if that's a scratch that you're looking to itch. So let me know, guys, down in the comment section below. Are you thinking about carrying a revolver in 2026? Has the nostalgia movement, the 90s era stuff, has it gotten to you? Not that these were the main go-to gun in the 90s. Or do you think that modern striker-fired guns, 2011s, have made this platform, this gun, obsolete? Please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to see your thoughts and start a conversation down there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. I hope you stay safe. God bless you and your families, and we will see you in the next video. Peace out.